Today, Mr. Speaker, I can announce that we're issuing a licence to transfer £2.5 billion from the sale of Chelsea Football Club. That's been frozen, those funds, since 2022. My message to Abramovich is this: the clock is ticking. Honour the commitment that you made and pay up now. And if you don't, we're prepared to go to court so every penny reaches those whose lives have been torn apart by Putin's illegal war.
This is my video update on this Wednesday afternoon, December the 17th. Coming to you from Athens, Greece. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Venezuela and Trump's Truth Social post, where he has announced that there will be a blockade on sanctioned oil tankers. That is Trump's latest announcement when it comes to Venezuela. A blockade is an act of war. Under international law, I do believe that a blockade is considered to be an act of war. Once again, we're talking about a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers because there are reports which claim that a Russian oil tanker with a Russian flagged oil tanker, part of the Russian shadow fleet, of course, is making its way towards Venezuela. I'm not 100% confirmed on those reports, but it does look like there will be a Russian-flagged oil tanker on its way to Venezuela, which would mean that, if this is true, would mean that an attack on this Russian oil tanker could be considered some sort of an act of war, right? It has a Russian flag. So we'll see how all of this develops. There have been no details announced from the Trump White House as to how this blockade is going to work. But Trump announced that we do have a blockade. Let me read you his post on Truth Social. Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. It will only get bigger, and the shock to them will be like nothing they have ever seen before, until such time as they return to the United States of America all of the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us. The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from those stolen oil fields to finance themselves, drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping, for the theft of our assets and many other reasons, including terrorism, drug smuggling, and human trafficking. The Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. Therefore, today I am ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers, that's all in caps, going into and out of Venezuela. The illegal aliens and criminals that the Maduro regime has sent into the United States during the weak and inept Biden administration are being returned to Venezuela at a rapid pace. America will not allow criminals, terrorists, or other countries to rob, threaten, or harm our nation, and likewise will not allow a hostile regime to take our land, our oil, land, or any other assets, all of which must be returned to the United States immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. The long posts on Truth Social are a bit difficult to read on the phone, but I think you guys got the message. So Venezuela has stolen U.S. oil and land and stuff like that, huh? What Trump is referring to is court cases. Even today, there are open court cases because U.S. companies, U.S. energy companies, were operating at those oil fields, and they were given a stake of the oil fields. So it was a partnership between the Venezuelan government and the U.S. Energy companies at those oil fields. But that whole deal broke down, and now they're in court, and they've been in court for many, many decades. And so that's what Trump is going on about. That's what he means when he talks about stealing oil and stuff like that, and territory and land. He's claiming that the oil companies, I believe he's claiming that the oil companies, this was their territory and their oil and their land and their assets. So that's his claim. It's something along those lines. I'm not going to get into the details of all of it. It's ridiculous and just another excuse from the Trump administration to start an operation against Venezuela. But it is all about the oil, huh? I feel alone. I hear you. I hear you. I also feel alone. I feel alone. All right. Beautiful tree. So that's the update there on Venezuela. The biggest armada ever assembled in South America, according to Trump. They want, the United States wants its oil, land, and other assets that they, in reference to Venezuela, stole from us. Upside down world. The oil and the land and the resources in Venezuela, according to Trump, was stolen from the United States. Oh man. Anyway, all right. That is the update there on Venezuela. We'll see what this brings. Fentanyl has been designated a weapon of mass destruction. You can't make this stuff up, man. Yeah, it's been designated a weapon of mass destruction. So we're back to George Bush, the son, George W. We're back to those times. Weapons of mass destruction. All that's missing is someone at the UN. Who's the ambassador at the UN? Waltz, right? Waltz or Rubio to be at the UN and to hold a vial and say this is what Venezuela has. That is dangerous. This is anthrax or whatever Colin Powell was saying back then. So, according to the chief of staff of the Trump administration, Susie Wiles, Trump's strategy when it comes to Venezuela is to continue to bomb the boats and the ships and put pressure on Maduro until he cries uncle. That is what Susie Wiles told Vanity Fair in an in-depth 11 part or 11 interviews over 1 year reporting from Vanity Fair, expose from Vanity Fair. They were given access to Susie Wiles and the Trump White House for the last year, and they conducted 11 interviews, of which, according to the author of this article, these many articles that will be coming out, have all been recorded. Everything has been recorded and documented. And he asked Susie Wiles, or Susie Wiles talked about Maduro and what is going on in Venezuela. And she said that Trump's policy is to put pressure on Maduro until he cries uncle, to just keep on sinking ships until Maduro gives up, goes away. And so this Vanity Fair article is causing the Trump administration a whole lot of trouble, a whole lot of headaches. And Susie Wiles is claiming that this was a hit piece, though I have seen that she has not denied or refuted any of the reporting. She's just saying that the reporting lacked context or painted her and the Trump White House in a bad light. And she's saying this was a hit piece, but she's not addressing any of the quotes or the claims or the statements, which have all been recorded. The author of this article, I believe it's Chris Whipple, if I remember his name. He was on CNN and he said, look, I've recorded everything. So, I mean, there's nothing for them to deny, or there's nothing for them to be upset about. All I'm doing is publishing what they told me. I've got the quotes, I've got the statements. Everything is recorded and documented. And so basically Susie Wiles' argument is that this was all taken out of context. It just paints the Trump administration in a bad light, and it's just a hatchet job, a hit piece. But the Vanity Fair article is Susie Wiles, J.D. Vance, and the Junkyard Dogs, the White House Chief of Staff on Trump's second term, part 1 of 2. 11 interviews, though. We're talking about 11 interviews over an entire year, unprecedented access to the Chief of Staff, mind you. And the Chief of Staff should be the most low-profile, quiet person in the presidential cabinet, right? On the team, it should be the Chief of Staff that does not do any interviews, doesn't really speak to the press that much, at least only when it comes to specific business or policy, but doesn't do these types of interviews. Doesn't go and speak to a publication over an entire year and give access to a publication like Vanity Fair, which is not Trump friendly either. So what was she thinking? Why did they allow Vanity Fair to gain 1 year access to the White House? What were they thinking? Come on, guys. Jeez. Ego. It's a White House driven by narcissism and ego. That's what it's all about. But yeah, the Chief of Staff should be completely low profile, working behind the scenes and just getting things done for the President of the United States and for his agenda and his staff. But not Susie Wiles. And she seemed pretty low profile, right? She seemed very low profile. She was kind of a shadow figure, but I guess she got tired of being a shadow figure. She wanted to come out of the shadows, and boy, did she come out of the shadows in a big, big way. And boy, did she blast just about everybody in the Trump administration. But everyone in the Trump administration, they have all put out posts on X saying how wonderful working for Susie Wiles is, how wonderful the Trump administration is, what a great job Susie's doing, what a great job the President of the United States is doing. They all came out with posts on X at pretty much the same time. It was not planned. No one told them to put out posts about how great Susie Wiles is and how great working for the administration is. No, it wasn't planned at all. All right? So, hey, my friend, you're watching over the park, huh? So yeah, that's what happened as well, with all the Trump administration coming out to defend Susie Wiles. So what did she say? Let's see. Let me try to remember some of the juicy stuff that this article talks about. She said she said the stuff about Maduro, right? I'll find you the exact quote. One sec. I have the exact quote bookmarked. She said that Trump wants to keep on blowing boats up until Maduro cries uncle. That's the strategy. 5D chess, 10D, 22D chess from the Trump White House. And this whole Vanity Fair interview and this whole Vanity Fair article is also 10D chess, right? It's 10D chess from the Trump White House. This entire article, 11 freaking interviews over 1 year to Vanity Fair. Oh man. Talk about an own goal. A gigantic own goal. She talked about Elon Musk. Now I'm starting to remember what she said. She said that Elon Musk was an odd duck. I believe that's her exact quote. An odd duck. Or an odd duck. And she was horrified when Musk went after USAID. Absolutely horrified. Yeah. When Doge went after USAID, it left her initially aghast. That's a direct quote. He decided that it was a better approach to shut it down, fire everybody, shut them out, and then go rebuild. Not the way I would do it. Yeah, she called him a complete solo actor, an odd duck. She also said that he was doing a whole lot of ketamine. Yeah, I think she said that as well. So that was what she said about Elon Musk. She also called Trump an alcoholic, he acts like an alcoholic, she said. He acts like an alcoholic. This is meant as a compliment, actually. It's meant as a compliment for the U.S. president. And what she was getting at was that Trump believes he can do just about anything. And that's the way alcoholics act. High-functioning alcoholics or alcoholics in general, their personalities are exaggerated when they drink. And so I'm a little bit of an expert in big personalities. That's what she said while describing Trump as an intense figure who thinks in broad strokes. She assessed Trump as having an alcoholic's personality, even though the president does not drink. But the personality trait is something she recognizes from her father, the famous sports broadcaster, Pat Summerall. I didn't know that Pat Summerall was her father. Maybe I remember reading that somewhere, that Pat Summerall was her father. Very famous broadcaster. Yeah, and basically her point is that Trump believes he can do anything. I like it. I like it. I can do anything I want. But I like it. I like it a lot. If you like this video, smash that like button. Share this video. Subscribe to this channel. And when you smash that like button, say I like it a lot. I can do anything I want. I can do anything. King of the world. So that was what she said about Trump. She also said that there was this type of agreement, an informal, a loose agreement, that in the first 90 days, that's when they would get revenge on everybody that wronged Trump and the Trump administration. But then after the 90 days, they would just go back to business. They would drop this retaliation on everybody that wronged Trump. They would settle all the scores in 90 days. Trump's revenge crusade has gone longer than Wiles initially wanted. We have a loose agreement that the score settling will end before the first 90 days are over, Wiles said early in Trump's second administration, telling Vanity Fair she did try to tamp down on the president's penchant for retribution. She said that Pam Bondi completely blew it when it came to the Epstein files. She said that Pam Bondi just did a terrible, terrible job when it came to the Epstein files, and she called J.D. Vance a conspiracy theorist. That's how she labeled J.D. Vance. Trump's chief of staff said Vice President J.D. Vance has been a conspiracy theorist for a decade, and his conversion to the MAGA cause was sort of political. So that's the Vanity Fair article, which is doing the Trump administration a whole lot of damage. Good time to start a war, I guess, huh? That would serve as a very welcome and good distraction for the Trump White House. So we're getting reports that Trump is going to place sanctions, big sanctions, on Russia if they do not sign his peace plan. If they do not sign the peace plan, then he's going to place big, bone-crushing sanctions. Not sure where that leads to. This is coming from Reuters. No, from Bloomberg. From Bloomberg. U.S. readies new Russia sanctions if Putin rejects peace deal. If Putin abandons the peace agreement with Ukraine, then we're looking at big sanctions against the Russian shadow fleet of oil tankers, according to Bloomberg. I don't know about you, but the Russian shadow fleet sounds pretty cool. it's all tankers that are not insured by London, but it's a pretty cool name to be part of the shadow fleet. It's much better than just being part of just a regular oil tanker fleet, right? It's much cooler to be part of the shadow fleet. Anyway, shadow fleet, massive sanctions if Putin does not sign the peace plan. Go back to what Susie Wiles says about Trump. Trump believes he can do anything. Nothing can stop him. Nothing is out of reach. Trump can accomplish anything, according to Susie Wiles, like an alcoholic. That is what she told Vanity Fair. And so Trump believes that he can pressure Russia with bone-crushing sanctions to sign his awful 28-point peace plan, his very pro-Ukraine 28-point peace plan, which is effectively Russia's capitulation to the United States, is what it is. Russia capitulating to the U.S. That's what Trump's 28-point peace plan is. But not going to happen. Not going to happen. Lindsey Graham has already got the 500% secondary tariffs, secondary sanctions lined up. So that's, I talked about this yesterday. That's the next step in all of this, the negotiations between Ukraine and the Europeans and the United States with Witkoff and Kushner. They're going to take whatever ridiculous plan they've put together. They're going to present it to Russia, and Russia's going to say this is nonsense. This is not what we talked about in Alaska. This has nothing to do with root causes. And they're going to reject it in a diplomatic and polite way, and they're going to want to negotiate with the United States bilaterally to try and find a diplomatic solution. But Lindsey Graham and Keith Kellogg and the neocons and the Europeans and the media, they're going to run with Russia's rejection narrative, and Trump is going to fold like origami and place more sanctions on Russia. And of course, the long-range missiles. Anyway, I talked about this yesterday in my video update. The New York Times is saying that Trump's plan, or the Ukraine plan, which the U.S. and Europe are backing up, which they put together in Berlin, is all about building up Ukraine's military. Ukraine plan calls for enhanced military with U.S. and European backup. The latest proposal is designed to deter future Russian aggression, but Russia is not part of the talks and has shown little willingness to negotiate. Yeah, why isn't Russia in agreement with building up Ukraine's military? It's so odd. The New York Times is right. Why is Russia not at the talks, and why are they not agreeing to the U.S., EU, Ukraine plan to build up Ukraine's military? Very strange for Russia to not be in agreement with this plan. So Putin was speaking, I believe, to the Ministry of Defense. And Putin said that, he said that Orezhniks are going into service at the end of the year. So that's interesting. Got lots of Orezhniks now, Russia. Russia has lots of Orezhniks. They've been producing a lot of those things, and so they're going to go into service by the year's end. Belarus is also going to get Orezhniks as well. And Putin said that Europe is looking for war. That is what Putin said. He said that Europe and some leaders in Europe are acting very irresponsibly and are building up their military capabilities because they absolutely want war with Russia. And it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. I talked about this yesterday, that we could be looking at a bluff. We could be looking at some way to keep the grift going in Europe to keep the MIC happy and well fed. But I'm telling you, there are leaders in Europe that do believe that they can enter into a military conflict with Russia in the next couple of years, and they believe that they can win. And the reason they believe this, my opinion, is because they're actually believing the nonsense narrative from the media, from the Zelensky regime about the conflict in Ukraine and the SMO, which is that Russia is not making any progress, and if Ukraine can hold Russia back from taking over the country in 4 days, well, then Europe, even without the United States, Europe can easily defeat Russia in some sort of a war. And if things start going bad, then you can always call on the United States to step in. So anyway, that is what Putin said. Europe is definitely, some parts of Europe and the European leadership are definitely building up their military capabilities in order to go to some sort of a war with Russia. So the Russian frozen assets. Shall we talk about the Russian frozen assets? Belgium is staying strong. Belgium is staying strong, and they continue to reject Ursula's pressure to hand over the 140 billion at Euroclear to the Green Goblin. And even Fitch, the ratings agency, they have warned Euroclear about a ratings downgrade. This is coming from the Financial Times. Euroclear put on notice about possible rating downgrade. And the rating downgrade, this warning, we haven't got the rating downgrade yet. This is just a warning from Fitch. But it's basically Fitch saying that if you go through Euroclear with the handing over of the 140 billion to the Zelensky regime, then you're going to be in big trouble, and we're going to have to downgrade you. So you have Fitch now sending a warning to Euroclear and to Belgium. Don't go through with this. And Belgium is not going through with this, not yet. All the pressure that they're putting on Belgium, Belgium is still resisting. And Ursula's trying to find a way to ease Belgium's fears, the fear that they're going to get all kinds of lawsuits in all kinds of jurisdictions, and they're going to have to give Russia all kinds of money. And Ursula's saying that Europe will backstop it, and they'll get EU member states to pitch in and backstop it, that the EU is going to backstop it from its budget. EU member states are going to pitch in. France and Germany, she says, are going to pitch in. So don't worry, even if Russia takes you to court, and even if you have to give money back or lose money from wherever Euroclear operates outside of Europe, don't worry, we've got you covered. And Belgium is saying, yeah, right. Okay. Basically, the EU wants Belgium to take the fall, right? Take the hit. All for Project Ukraine. That's basically what Europe is asking of Belgium. Just take one for the team, Belgium. Come on, Belgium. What's wrong with you, Belgium? How come you don't want to take one for the team? I don't understand Belgium. How come you don't want to destroy your own economy, your own country, Euroclear? It's for Zelensky. Come on, is there any other better cause than for Zelensky? Zelensky and his group of scriptwriters? That's a great cause, man. Come on, Belgium. What's wrong with you? Basically, what Belgium needs from Europe is $1 trillion. If they backstop Belgium with $1 trillion, then I think Belgium will say, okay, take the 140 billion. But they need $1 trillion in cash. If Europe is ready to give Belgium $1 trillion in cash, then I believe Belgium will give the frozen assets. But that's not going to happen because Europe doesn't have $1 trillion. Maybe they're in debt, $1 trillion. But even Orban, he was speaking to a podcast the other day, or YouTube channel, and even Orban said that the EU is desperate for money. That's what this is all about. The EU and the EU leadership are absolutely desperate for money. EU needs Russian cash to avoid collapse. Speaking to the Patriota YouTube channel on Tuesday, Orban said EU leaders were chasing their money after spending heavily on the conflict and having previously assured voters it won't cost them a single penny because support for Ukraine would be financed from Russian assets rather than taxpayers. Orban said that if taxpayers end up footing the bill after all the promises, it could trigger an explosive realization in Western Europe and the immediate fall of several governments. He argued that EU leaders are now trying to secure financing outside taxpayers' pockets, pointing to frozen Russian assets as the target and warning of political trouble if Brussels fails to obtain them. Summarized perfectly by Orban. Remember all the promises that the Collective West made at the beginning of the conflict to all of the citizens of the Collective West, whether you were in Europe or the United States or in Canada, Australia, wherever you were. Remember the promises that they were making? The Russian economy is going to collapse. The ruble is rubble. The Russian military is going to collapse. They're running out of missiles, running out of weapons. We won't need that much money. It's not going to really cost us that much, really. It's not going to be that expensive. Ukraine's economy is booming. Remember all of those articles talking about how Ukraine's economy is like the 5th best performing economy in all of Europe or in all of the world? And now we're finding out that Ukraine needs 130 billion or 120 billion in 2 years. It's flat broke. Russia's producing more weapons than the entirety of NATO, including the United States. They produce more weapons in 3 months than the entirety of the Collective West produces in 1 year. The Russian economy is booming. I mean, everything they said is a lie. And now they got to find money, because the option of having the EU taxpayer flip the bill for all of this could lead to big election losses for the elite in Europe, the cool kids. The cool kids in Europe don't want to lose power, but then again, they've managed to figure out ways so that when elections do come, whatever the results, they remain in power. So they figured out ways to get around pesky elections. But anyway, I think Orban is spot on. Actually, I know Orban is spot on. He's right. They need money. They need money, and all they've got left are those Russian frozen assets. And that's why they're setting up this tribunal. That was big news yesterday. The European Union, The Hague, they are launching a war reparations tribunal. And they're asking 524 billion from Russia. This is according to Reuters. And 34 nations attended this event and are going to sign up to this war tribunal. That's a lot of countries. 34 nations. Wow. That's pretty much all of the Collective West. Basically, the Collective West, the EU, showed up to this event, and the EU is going to be the EU member states are going to be forced to sign up to this tribunal. And the goal of this tribunal is all about collecting money, trying to find money. That's what it's all about. And if they can collect the 524 billion, then they can go to Belgium, and they can say, Belgium, look, we have 524 billion. Not that they're going to collect it. No one even knows how this is going to work. No one is even sure of the details of all of this. But my thinking is that they've got 80,000 cases, allegedly, 80,000 claims that they're putting together up until 2024. And my thinking is that they're going to eventually go to Belgium over the next couple of months and say, look, Belgium, look at all these cases. Look at all of these claims that we have. This is almost 500, almost 600 billion. All this money can easily backstop whatever 140 billion Euroclear gives to Zelensky. And Zelensky needs the 140 billion, and that's going to lead to the defeat of Russia. We have to get him that 140 billion. We have to fight on for another couple of years. Russia will be defeated, and you have nothing to worry about, Belgium. Because look, we have 524 billion in claims, right? That's what we have. And Belgium's going to say, no, none of this is real. None of this is real, because everyone knows that even if this was this was possible, the loser does not set up the tribunals. The winner, the victor, sets up the tribunals. That's just the reality of all of this. So that's the latest scheme. It's a scheme. This is a scheme to try and figure out ways to collect money and to try and figure out ways to ease Belgium's concerns. That's what this is all about, this tribunal. So, should we get to a clown world? I think we can do a clown world and we can wrap today's video up. The Wednesday video. Let's go around. So Estonia is threatening China. We're in clown world territory now. Estonia is threatening China. Yep. The Estonian foreign minister is telling China, you better ditch Russia. If you do not ditch Russia, then the EU is no longer going to be your friend. And you're also going to piss us off as well. Estonia, we're going to be upset with you. China, Baltic state demands that EU deal with China. Estonia's foreign minister wants the bloc to put more pressure on Moscow via Beijing. Estonia has threatened China with a breakup over its cooperation with Russia. Estonian foreign minister Markus Tsahkna said that the EU would break up with China as a Russian accomplice in the conflict. The Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs also stated that if China does not sever ties with Russia, it will not have good relations with Estonia. Oh, man. It's bad news for China. Anyone watching this video from China? Let me know in the comments down below if you're getting very, very worried at this statement from Estonia. It's bad news if you're China. Very, very bad news. Not only is the EU going to put pressure on you, but Estonia is going to cut off relations with you, China. I think they finally figured out how to split apart China from Russia. The Estonian foreign minister figured it out. It's the threat of Estonia cutting off relations with China. That's going to do it. So I think Xi Jinping is in trouble. I believe the Chinese government is probably they're probably having all kinds of emergency meetings over this statement from the Estonian foreign minister. I imagine Wang Yi is going to fly to Tallinn, an emergency flight to Tallinn, and perhaps capitulate to Estonia, and then Russia's screwed, right? All of BRICS then starts crumbling. Wow, what an amazing checkmate move from the foreign minister of Estonia. Checkmate China, checkmate Russia. Game over, man. Game over. And that's the video. TheDuran.locals.com. We're on X. We're on Rumble and Telegram. And we're also on Substack. So check us out on Substack. And go to the Duran shop. Pick up some merch. I will see everyone tomorrow. Take care.